Across the education sector, teachers are seeking greater balance to persist in their role and are leaving the profession at increasing rates due to burnout. We have learned that having insufficient time to plan for lessons and collaborate with peers, as well as having a large number of scholars who are behind grade level, are two major contributors to this burnout. This national challenge that our teachers face for sustainability and balance is directly connected to our scholars' outcomes. Hi, I'm Sonja Grant, Vice President of Network Initiatives for Alliance College-Ready Public Schools. Alliance is the largest charter network in Los Angeles, serving 26 schools and nearly 13,000 scholars. In the fall of 2023, two of our middle schools, Alliance College-Ready Middle Academy 4 in the South LA Watts neighborhood, and Valera Middle Academy in the Sun Valley area, launched Reimagining the Alliance Educator, an initiative designed to help Alliance get ahead of industry trends by increasing well-used planning time and providing additional support to scholars who are behind grade level. At our Reimagining the Alliance Educator pilot schools, we have more than doubled planning time for our teachers, created new targeted intervention opportunities for scholars, and significantly expanded enrichment opportunities at each school. Now, we hope to pass along what we've learned to give you tools for your own school in hopes of spreading this groundbreaking work. Alliance College-Ready Public Schools brings to you Reimagining the Alliance Educator, the podcast. Practical discussions and advice on finding greater balance for teachers and better outcomes for scholars. On today's episode, I talked to the principal, a teacher, and scholars from Alliance College-Ready Middle Academy 4 in the South LA Watts neighborhood. And as a reminder for our listeners, through the pilot program, Middle 4 implemented a 4+1 model, where teachers have one full day of structured planning time, as well as 2 separate planning blocks each week. In total, all teachers have roughly 11 hours of weekly planning time. In addition, Middle 4 launched an expanded math intervention program in order to support the school's goals to continue to grow math outcomes for scholars. These have already had a positive effect on their overall culture.
We're having conversations about mental health and what it means to take care of yourself and being kind to yourselves, because I know that many times in middle school, students have difficulties with these things. And so trying to model what it means to have self-care can be very important.
All coming up on this episode of Reimagining the Alliance Educator, the podcast. I'm back with Eva Flores-Koops, who we've spoken to a couple of times this season. The last time she and I spoke, we talked about the importance of having strong planning, observation, feedback, and collaboration structures in place.
Hello, everybody. I'm the principal at Alliance College-Ready Middle Academy 4. Before becoming principal in 2020, I was a founding math and science teacher, director of instruction, and an assistant principal. I've been an educator for 17 years and am celebrating my 15th year at this school at Middle 4.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about school culture. I'm curious what goals you had for your school culture when you first endeavored the pilot.
You know, it's interesting because at first I was like, how am I going to connect this to the pilot, right? Because on the surface, the pilot is about academics, right? Not so much about culture. But it's incredible how these two things are actually really interconnected. And so Middle 4, every year we establish what we call a rally cry in 3 big rocks or 3 areas of focus. And in 23-24, 2 of our big rocks, the non-academic big rocks, were 1, empowered students, and 2, engaged team. So we wanted kids to be empowered beyond academics, and we wanted our team to be an active part of the academic process and decision making. And we said, you know what, we're going to measure this in terms of staff and scholars' sense of belonging and in terms of trust. And I think that the pilot has had a significant impact on both empowering our students academically and socio-emotionally, but also has really empowered our team to be engaged in the conversation around what this pilot looks like and feels like at Middle 4. So yes, hands down, the pilot has had an impact on our culture.
I'm also curious, in addition to scholar culture, to hear a little bit about staff culture and what goals for staff culture you may have set either at the outset or throughout the course of the pilot, and how the pilot program has supported any kind of growth and development in that area.
Absolutely. I think that the biggest piece is that this concept of an engaged team. I think about professional development sessions where people are saying things, right? Not just passive recipients of information, but are actually there giving their perspective, giving their experience, and helping to make decisions. And the pilot in and of itself has created numerous opportunities for staff input and collaboration because we all had this shared goal. The goal, everyone felt it was palpable. We wanted to increase the sustainability of our roles. And so when you put that out there and say, we are adopting this pilot to achieve this, people had an incredible level of investment to be an active part of the conversation. And the fact that we are adopting our third version in August of the pilot, the fact that we've been through 6 different iterations of the schedule, staff have been engaged in each and every one of those conversations. And our data indicates that they feel heard and that they feel like an active decision maker on our campus.
That's wonderful. I know that you've been very intentional about collecting an insane amount of data, an insane amount of feedback, and iterating now, as you've shared 6 times in response to feedback. So kudos to you. I'm curious whether there were any challenges that came up in either staff or school, scholar culture during the course of the pilot, and whether those created any complications for the work, and if so, how you addressed them.
Yes, I think it is important to be very transparent about the challenges. And there are 2 things that, in spite of the iterations, we haven't figured out yet. And we're continuing to name as priorities for next year. So the first thing that I'll name as a challenge is there is a perceived inequity on our campus where members of our team who are not teachers have advocated for planning days also. And so it feels, I'll use the word unfair, that teachers get a protected day to work remotely without interruption, but that others don't. And so this question of, are we considering planning days for members of the operations team, for our scholar success teams? So that's one. The other challenge I'll name is staff attendance trends. And I know we are not alone in this. Schools across the nation, maybe it's not just schools, are seeing staff attendance, adult attendance challenges. And so when you pair 5 or 6 absences, right, in a staff of 49, because we're 49 people, when you pair 5 or 6 absences with 5 or 6 people already on planning days, you're now talking about a quarter of your staff being off-site on any given day, and that creates logistical challenges that we've had to try to figure out. So those 2 challenges have been very real, and we continue to try to figure out a way to address them.
You've shared a bit about the really great outcomes that you are expecting to have as you're reviewing some preliminary end-of-year data. I'm curious to just hear a little bit more about how you address those challenges. I think specifically the staff attendance challenge, because I know that impacts scholars in classrooms directly, and you were still able to achieve some really incredible growth for your scholars. So how did you navigate that? And also for any other school leader or school staff person who is thinking about how to apply this within their own school community and knowing that there are challenges with staff attendance, what advice do you have for them?
I think advice is a really good word because so much depends on the culture of a school, right? And so what might work here may not work in a different setting. My approach, and this is just true of my leadership style in general, is transparency and vulnerability. I lean in with my team, some would say too much. And so when I do that, I would say that one of the things that I have accomplished in leading this particular work and trying to address this challenge is everyone is aware of the challenge, right? So it's not something that's under wraps that we don't talk about. And I think that has been powerful because it has allowed me to understand root causes in a way that I otherwise wouldn't have. And it has allowed the team to see the impact of the absences. So transparency has been key. Additionally, I am a very data-driven person. And so I do think that being transparent with data is important. And so we have a public tracker that indicates the number, not the individual names, but the number of people who are either out on planning or illness, personal need, how many that adds up to, and then the percentage of people off campus on a daily basis. And if it's between 20 to 25%, the day is coded a yellow day, like eyes open, it's a yellow day, right? That means we have a lot of people out, we're gonna need some extra support. And if it's above 25% of the staff out, it's coded a red day, in which case we're going to need you to wear multiple hats and step in and offer supervision support outside, maybe cover a class because it's a red day. And so I think we've been very transparent about that data and have spelled out what it means when a certain threshold of staff is out. And then the last piece of advice, and this has probably been the most challenging for me as an individual leader, is leaning into those courageous conversations. I think having a candid conversation with someone about excessive absences and the impact of that is not an easy thing to do, but it's also really important because without that level of communication and transparency, neither side fully understands the other. And so I think by having this level of conversation and at times tapping in human resources for support, at times there's even been the adoption of progressive discipline matters. None of those things are comfortable, but I now understand the indispensability of those things because without a team here on site, our kiddos are not getting what they deserve. And so as a leader, I now understand the role I play in leaning in, having the courageous conversations, finding that perfect balance between accountability and support to ensure that kids have who they need in front of them. So I think that would be my advice. It's not perfect and it's hard work, but I do think it's paying off.
We've talked about the challenges and the successes along the way for your team. Can you share with us your overall assessment of the pilot? Has the investment been worth it?
I think one of the takeaways of the pilot work is that the investment will pay off. And the reason it pays off is because we're investing in our greatest resource, which is our people. If our people are less burnt out, if our people have more time to prepare to deliver excellent instruction in front of kids, what the kids will learn and accomplish in a year's time cannot be compared to what they would have otherwise. And so I think that's really, it's not a direct effect. And I think you'll even see that when you interview the scholars. They won't be able to speak to the pilot themselves per se. But the fact that we are investing in the talents, in the adults, not only prepares them to come in daily and be more resilient and be more prepared, but it also ensures that they will return year after year to continue to do the difficult work and to continue to close those gaps for kids. And so I think that that's the takeaway that I would say. At the end of the day, middle schools, Alliance middle schools, exist to close the gaps that kiddos bring from elementary. Our goal is by the time you leave here, you are high school ready. And the investment in this pilot ensures that we're building that skill set and keeping people long term to be able to close those gaps. By the time my kiddos leave and go over to Burton Tech, I feel with confidence that they are ready for the high school experience.
I know that this hasn't been easy for you or any member of your team. You've had to pivot a lot. You all have had to take on new hats, different hats, multiple hats at a time, but the outcomes that you're seeing for your scholars are a true testament to the power of all of your efforts. So thank you. When we come back, I'll talk to Caleb Klinger, one of Middle Force teachers, to hear his perspective on how the pilot program has impacted school culture. We'll be right back after a brief message.
At Alliance College Ready Public Schools, we encourage our students and staff to be you, do you. Our 26 schools have been named as some of the best in the nation and focused on community pride and belonging. With a 1 to 10 average staff to scholar ratio, 95% of Alliance scholars graduate high school. As you continue your journey to be college ready, Alliance provides resources for our students and staff to help you become the best version of yourself through world-class teaching and learning. Join Alliance today, where exceptional is the rule. Find out more at laalliance.org.
Welcome back to Reimagining the Alliance Educator, the podcast. Caleb, for those just tuning in, can you remind us who you are?
Yeah, I'm Caleb Klinger. I am the 8th grade U.S. History teacher at Alliance College Ready Middle Academy 4.
So I'm curious to hear whether you've noticed any shifts in your school culture, either between staff members, within your scholar community, across the whole school community as a result of the pilot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the things is coming back from a planning day, you always have people kind of asking you, oh, how was your planning day? How'd it go? What'd you accomplish? It's not like, okay, what did you do? Let me check up on making sure that you did every single little thing that you said you were going to. No, it's kind of like a conversation starter. I felt like the relationships between people, especially those who I would talk to less frequently, I felt like it was able to open up a door to have conversations. Whenever people ask the question, what did you do over the weekend? There's a lot more of, hey, I was able to go to the beach. I was able to go and visit with family. I was able to go and do something amazing. People getting back into hobbies that they haven't had in a while. So I think that it's really kind of the shift that I hear teachers are able to have more freedom and feel more refreshed because of it.
That's so important. I'm so happy to hear that. Not only is this work making the teaching job more sustainable, but it's also supporting people as people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Not just professionals.
Yeah, I would say that's very important because we're trying to teach students many different things. We're having conversations about mental health and what it means to take care of yourself and being kind to yourselves, because I know that many times in middle school, students have difficulties with these things. And so trying to model what it means to have self-care can be very important. To not show up every single day looking like I haven't slept and I've been up all night grading papers, because I actually had been up all night grading papers. Being able to actually have increased quality of sleep this year has helped me tremendously. So yeah, that's another great thing.
Caleb, how has this pilot program impacted sustainability of the teacher role for you over the long term?
I've always wanted to be a teacher. I love being a teacher, and this just gives me so much more time and so much more energy to continue that. I'm having this additional time to continue with my master's degree because I want to be a teacher and I want to continue to do this. This pilot has helped me feel more refreshed and really has given me an opportunity to settle down, to refresh myself, and to kind of keep going. Because although the work is difficult at times, it's so rewarding, and anything that's going to help me become a better teacher, increase the longevity of what I do, I'm going to be an advocate for, not only for myself, but other teachers, because I know that this is going to help not just myself at the school site, not just people at our school site either, but it's going to help anyone that adopts this pilot, because we see scholars getting so much more support through teachers that have mastered the curriculum that they're working on, that are feeling refreshed and are feeling like they want to be able to keep teaching and don't feel the kind of this burnout. This pilot, I know it will help with it because I've seen it with myself and I've seen it with other people at this school as well.
I'm so happy to hear that, Caleb. And I just have one more question for you. I'm really excited that Middle 4 is going to be continuing the Reimagining the Alliance Educator schedule into next school year. I'm curious what you anticipate for the upcoming year, what your hopes are for the upcoming year, really building off of all of the incredible progress that you've made this year.
I think that going into this next year, I'm looking to increase my practice. I'm always looking to see what can I do to help scholars learn and be the most benefit that I can to their education. And them as individuals as they move out of our school into high school and from high school into college and then college and beyond. Really trying to look at basically the progress that kids are able to make, scholars are able to make in my classroom. I'm also looking forward to having more time for alignment between our history team, going through and aligning between assessments from 6th, 7th, 8th grade, looking at the alignment between like reading activities, annotation guides, just many different things that we can spend more time to go through because everything doesn't feel rushed. I know I'm really looking forward to spending that additional time starting my master's degree and really pursuing that professional part of my life and getting that additional education that's going to be dividends back to my scholars. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. And every time I am asked about this pilot, I want to give every answer that I can because it has tremendously helped me out. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Caleb. That just made my year. Thank you for sharing so much.
Hi, my name is Mariah. I'm a 7th grade representative for Middle 4.
Hi, my name is Catalina. I am an 8th grader at Middle 4.
As a part of this pilot, scholars were put into cohorts and moved through each of your classes with that same cohort. Can you talk a little bit about what the impact of that structure has been on you and the relationships that you've been able to develop with your friends at school?
It was basically the mindset because we were just so used to seeing each other every day. It was like, oh, hi, person A. Oh, hi, person B. And because of that, we were just so comfortable being around each other, like as a group. And also taught us to be more responsible, like own up to our actions as a cohort, basically, and not as a single person.
Catalina, could you speak to that as well?
I like to say cohorts really did help with community building. Because of cohorts, we're kind of able to depend on one another much easier because we all have the same classes, so we can just be like, oh, what class do we have? Oh yeah, we have this and this. So I think that makes it easier. But also how we engage with the teacher as well, because we all have these connections and then we kind of bring the teacher into the connection in a way, because then we all are sharing the same things with her. And then like our advisory teacher, Miss Williamson, she's very engaged with us. I think because we have all this shared collectively and we also have her as a teacher, I think it really helps us all be really closely connected with one another. So I think that's the joy of having cohorts.
Great, thank you. And Rudy, can you talk a little bit about your experience in your cohort this year?
For the cohorts, you can relate to the people and the staff. Because, usually sometimes cohorts work together because they have the same class. And let's say they know the schedule's like, you have to go this way. And also another scenario where a kid loses their book at a class. Person A left the book. Person B is like, oh, since I'm in the cohort, I should bring it to, as I'm going to my class, I should give them the book. That's really helpful.
Next time on Reimagining the Alliance Educator, we'll go back to Valera, our other pilot middle school, to talk about the cost of this type of program and the value of that investment.
If you have the enrollment and a strong budget, strong reserves, this is a no-brainer. Providing more planning time, more support for our staff, providing additional opportunities, whether it's intervention, enrichment, electives for scholars, that's a no-brainer. For those schools that might be working on their enrollment, working on their budget, I would definitely look at what resources are out there. How can you seek out other funding to be able to make a pilot or make a program like this work? Because I really do feel like it really does add to the instructional program as well as build a best place to work for your staff.
That's next time on Reimagining the Alliance Educator, the podcast. If you're interested in learning more about Alliance College Ready Public Schools, in becoming an educator or enrolling your child, visit laalliance.org. Or if you're already a part of the Alliance community and are interested in the Reimagining the Alliance Educator program, reach out to your school leader. Let them know you think this is a good idea and ask for more information on how your school can join. And don't forget to rate the show. It really helps spread the word, which will hopefully inspire more schools to try something new. Reimagining the Alliance Educator, the podcast, is produced by the Alliance College Ready Public Schools Home Office team, with producer and writer Monique Madrid, Jass Stewart, and myself, Sonja Grant. Sound and editing was done by Jacob Tummino and Travis Thompson. Alliance's CEO is Pablo Villavicencio. Thanks again to Principal Eva Flores-Koops, Teacher Caleb Klinger, and scholars Mariah, Catalina, and Rudy from Middle Academy 4.
Brought to you by Alliance College Ready Public Schools.